Alzheimer's has always had this grim reputation as the disease of plaques, tangles, and memory loss, but new research is flipping the script in a surprisingly hopeful way. It turns out that part of the problem might not be mysterious toxins or unstoppable brain decay, but simply that your brain's own immune cells have been quietly packing on the pounds. That's right, your brain can get a little chubby, and that might actually be a clue to fixing the disease rather than just another scary fact. Inside your head, microglia act as the ultimate multitaskers. They're constantly scanning your brain, cleaning up debris, recycling dead cells, and gobbling up anything that doesn't belong. They're the brain's janitors, security guards, and chefs all rolled into one. But when Alzheimer's starts to brew, something strange happens. These once energetic cells start stuffing themselves with fat droplets, like someone sitting down with a family-sized bag of chips and refusing to stop. Instead of running around and tidying up amyloid beta, the protein responsible for those famous plaques, they slow down dramatically. Imagine if your office cleaning crew spent all night eating pizza in the break room. Things would start to pile up. That's essentially what's happening in Alzheimer's brains. Researchers at Purdue University found that when microglia bump into amyloid beta, they start producing lots of fatty acids, which is usually a good thing. That fat is supposed to be burned for energy, so the cells can do their work. But instead, they start converting it into storage fat, filling themselves with triacylglycerol like little fat balloons. Over time, they get so overloaded they can barely move, and their ability to clear amyloid beta drops by almost half. This isn't just a quirky side effect of disease, it may actually drive the disease forward. The good news is that this fat problem isn't permanent, and that's where the research gets really exciting. The team discovered that the fat storing process is driven by an enzyme called DGAT2, which just hangs around too long in Alzheimer's brains. When the researchers figured out how to block that enzyme or break it down faster, the effect was dramatic. Microglia slimmed down, perked up, and started clearing amyloid plaques again like nothing had happened. It was like watching someone wake up from a food coma, throw on running shoes, and get back to work. That's why this research feels so different from decades of Alzheimer's studies that focused almost entirely on destroying plaques or targeting genetic risk factors. Instead of going after the symptom, this approach is about restoring balance. It doesn't fight the brain, it helps the brain fight for itself. That's a much more optimistic picture because it means we may not need to remove every last plaque to make a difference. We just need to get the brain's immune system back in shape, so it can handle the problem naturally. Even better, this lipid model of brain disease could explain more than just Alzheimer's. Microglial dysfunction and fat buildup might be involved in other forms of dementia, in aging-related memory problems, or even in recovery after brain injury. If we can find safe ways to keep microglia metabolically active and resistant to fat overload, we may be able to protect the brain in many different contexts. That opens the door to therapies that don't just slow decline but help maintain mental sharpness and independence for years longer. It's also oddly comforting to know that the brain's immune system doesn't just collapse in Alzheimer's. It's still there, still trying, just a little too weighed down to succeed. And if the problem is as simple as a metabolic bottleneck, then we have a shot at fixing it. Imagine a future where, instead of late-stage drugs that only modestly slow symptoms, we have treatments that reboot the microglia years before memory loss begins. That would be a completely different experience of aging. More time with your personality intact, more years of recognizing the people you love, more time for your brain to feel like yours. So, yes, your brain can get chubby, but that may be the most encouraging news about Alzheimer's we've heard in a while. It means the problem isn't unstoppable, it's just metabolic. It means the solution might not be a moonshot drug, but a clever tweak to restore balance. And it means that far from being doomed to plaque-ridden decline, your brain might simply need a little help to get back in fighting shape. Instead of seeing Alzheimer's as an inevitable thief of memory, we might start seeing it as something we can outsmart, with a little science, a little chemistry, and maybe just the right diet plan for your microglia.